Sign up for the NerdSync newsletter at nerdsyncnews.com. How are you doing, you wonderful nerds? Have you seen the Lego Batman movie yet? I haven't, because I'm filming this in advance, but it looks to be a ton of fun. Plus, it seems to be doing at least a little better than the last couple of films we've seen the Caped Crusader in, and most Batman movies in general. At least for now. We'll see how it goes moving forward. But why is it that audiences are reacting to Lego Batman with an overwhelmingly positive response? Why does this seem to work better than this? I have a theory. The goofy, silly, wacky Lego Batman is just a modern version of the goofy, silly, wacky Adam West Batman from the 1960s.
Holy, here we go again, Batman.
As you may know, there was a strange period in the 1940s and 50s where the public was losing interest in superheroes. Comics were selling great during the war, but now the war was over, and people didn't want to subject themselves to more stories where characters, sometimes literal soldiers, put on a uniform to fight bad guys. The American people wanted a break from that. Publishers started transitioning to non-superhero comics like teen romance and horror, plus the Comics Code Authority was put in place during this time, heavily censoring the kinds of tales that writers could publish. Batman and Robin survived through this changing industry, but just barely. There was even talk that DC would cancel their stories if sales continued to underperform. The dynamic duo would find their footing once again, but not in the form of comic books, at least not yet. During the 1960s, television networks were on the hunt for family shows, programs that could be enjoyed by both children and adults together, typically featuring fantastical characters. And this format led to shows like The Addams Family and The Munsters. ABC executives reached into what I imagine was a discarded barrel of properties companies left out on their front lawn and came out with Batman. They sent it over to 20th Century Fox to produce the show, who in turn handed it over to William Dozier, a man who had never read a comic book in his entire life up to that point. In fact, legend has it that he started reading Batman comics on the plane ride to his first meeting. He would later become the announcer of this series, delivering that famous line,
"Same bat time, same bat channel."
But at the time when the show was first being crafted, Dozier had no idea what to do with a Batman TV series until he eventually thought up one plan. Quote, "The idea was to overdo it. If you overdid it, I thought it would be funny to adults, and yet it would be stimulating to kids. But you had to appeal to both levels, or you just didn't have a chance." End quote. Aided by screenings of the old Batman serials that have been making rounds during the mid-1960s, home audiences embraced this new show, and it became a pop culture sensation practically overnight.
I don't know who he is behind that mask of his, but I do know when we need him. And we need him now.
The series accomplished the network's goal of being something both children and adults could watch together. As the star Adam West explained, quote, "I think of our Batman as the bright knight. The kids loved it, and we were funny for the adults. And that was our intention. If you play it that way, the show stays fresh and always kind of spinning around out there in its own little world." End quote. And while we might live in a culture that is used to Batman being dark and gritty, the 1960s show was bright and vibrant with an eccentric style. It was intended to be a video representation of the very comic books it was pulling inspiration from, with its loud and saturated color palette.
When you look at Batman, you see all those primary colors that were kind of borrowed from the earlier comic books.
And yes, the series did massively increase comic sales, but it also set the dynamic duo on a course for store shelves at a breakneck pace that reportedly surpassed Superman at the height of his popularity. West again recalled, quote, "Anywhere you looked on the set, there was a bat prop that I could use, or a set dressing, or something. We had props up the wazoo, so immediately the merchandising departments got into the act." End quote. When you look at these three facets of the 1960s show, you can start to appreciate just how similar the Lego Batman movie is. Made for kids and adults? Yep, there are elements of the comedy and storytelling that make it appealing to audiences across multiple demographics, like butt jokes and obscure pop culture references. Bright and colorful? Definitely. Compared to the dull and gray vigilante that we're used to seeing on film, Lego Batman is an explosion of stylized and saturated colors. As for whether it will result in merchandise sales, it's a movie where everything is made from literal toys. After the first Lego movie had come out, Lego became the #1 toy maker in the world, outselling and surpassing Barbie. Sales are guaranteed to spike again thanks to this film. Lego Batman checks all of the same boxes as the 60s Batman series, but we can't overlook the fallout from the show. Once Adam West and Burt Ward went off the air as the Caped Crusader and the Boy Wonder, the sales of Batman comics were back in the gutter. In fact, Batman was almost in a worse state than before. He now had this campy reputation that DC wanted to shake. Then, in 1986, Frank Miller created his take on the Caped Crusader in the gritty and violent comic The Dark Knight Returns. Along with Watchmen, another brutal book that was said to be the exception to the industry, comics started to reinvent themselves as more mature. This change ushered in the dark age of comics, where heroes were more complicated, and stories weren't as clear-cut as right and wrong. It was a hard turn away from the goofiness of Adam West's Batman. It was what the industry needed at the time, though perhaps since then, things have reversed. Maybe, after so many darker interpretations of the hero, audiences are eager to accept a sillier take. And maybe, as the DCEU is still getting their own Batman movie set up, this Lego one will allow us to take a breath, cleanse our palates, to give us a break from the constant serious interpretations of the character, and hopefully allow the next time we see Batfleck suit up to be a little more special. Or maybe Justice League and the Batman movie are doomed either way, what do I know? What do you think? Does the Lego Batman movie resemble a modern Adam West Batman? At least in practice, if not in style. Do you think that the Lego Batman movie could, in its own way, get the DCEU back on track? I know that's a weird question, but I would love to know your thoughts. If you want to talk about the Lego Batman movie in the comments, please make sure to warn people of spoilers before posting anything. Not for my sake, I mean, you guys know I don't really care about spoilers at all. It's just for everyone else who wants to jump in on the conversation, but might not want to chance it. And in case you didn't know, we have a newsletter that gets sent out every other week. It's called the Sunday Sync Up. We're revamping and relaunching it with some new stuff. And if you want to stay updated on everything going on at NerdSync, you can head over to nerdsyncnews.com to sign up for free. The link is in the description down below. It also helps make sure that you stay up to date on all of the videos that we publish, because YouTube can be a little dumb about subscriptions sometimes. If you want to watch more Batman videos, which let's face it, who doesn't, we've got an entire series on the famous story The Killing Joke, of which I am very proud, so please do check that out. Or here's another video that you might like. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Scott, reminding you to read between the panels and grow smarter through comics. See ya.